Joined by contributing editor to Novara Media, Michael Walker. Michael, thank you as always for coming in. This is difficult, isn't it? Because if people are in the streets of London shouting out slogans in support of terrorism, they are breaking British law.
Well, if people are shouting in support of terrorism, yes, they are. But I do actually think your introduction there was fairly despicable. And the reason I say that is there were between 100 and 150,000 people at that demonstration on Saturday. And you have essentially smeared all of them by showing videos of 4 people, or I don't know, 4 to 10 people. There was a group in that last video, wasn't there? And I wasn't on that demo. I was actually out of London, out of the country on the weekend. But many of my colleagues were, many of my friends were. And we've got a series of vox pops actually on our YouTube, which is showing a number of people on that demo. The vast majority of people on that demo, many of them Jewish, many of them with families in Gaza. Lots of them are. There are lots of Palestinians in the UK, it's worth noting. Now,
well, the 2 people with Jewish flags, as far as I can tell, got chased.
Well, that was an Israeli flag, and that's one clip. So I've got absolutely...
Well, there are two, isn't there? There's the Iranian man who had the flag, and there's the chap who was chased who was wearing an Israeli flag.
Again, what you're talking about is two instances. There are 100,000 to 150,000 people on this demonstration.
But why are you going on a demonstration in favour of anti the Israeli state at the point of which Israel has been attacked? Isn't that a really odd order of priorities, just to start with?
Well, if Israel had just been attacked and there hadn't been any response, or there hadn't been the response on the level that we have seen, it would be odd. If Israel hadn't started bombing Gaza, if Israel hadn't turned off the water to Gaza, which is an act of collective punishment...
But that's where the terrorists came from.
Then you would not have seen 150,000 people on the streets. Now, that's where the terrorists came from. You are now backing collective punishment. Collective punishment is a war crime. If you say the terrorists came from there, so we're going to shut off the water... That is a war crime.
You are stating it's a war crime as a fact. It isn't.
It is a war crime.
It is not necessarily. What Israel has done is a proportionate response. It's told people to leave. There is water available in Gaza.
There isn't.
There is water available in Gaza. And there's
The Associated Press, which I'd say probably is an organisation with more journalistic integrity than this one, says that there are many people in Gaza who are drinking less than 500 millilitres a day.
There is water available
urinating
in Gaza
once or twice a day because they do not have enough water to live.
There is water available. Israel has restricted...
So the problem here
has restricted electricity and has taken steps to try and root out the terrorists.
You were just lying.
Not.
But there is water available in Gaza. Yeah. What is your evidence for that?
What is your evidence that there isn't? I mean, we could play this game, but we know that
my evidence is the Associated Press.
And the reports,
my evidence is Amnesty International.
The reports have stated quite clearly.
My evidence is all of these human rights groups, including the United Nations, who have said there isn't water to drink. Your evidence seems to just be
They have been saying that water may run short. They haven't said there is no water now. So what Israel has done it for a short period, whilst preparing to take out the terrorists, which must be a reasonable thing to do, and it's told people to move so that they're at lower risk when Israel tries to defend itself. That must be fair.
Well, it's not fair. There are 2.2 million people there. Is there some water in Gaza City? Is there some water in Gaza? Yes.
Does
every single humanitarian...
So a moment ago you said there was no water. Now you're backtracking. You said AP said there was no water. Now you're saying there was water.
AP said there is not enough water for people to drink and live.
Israel has limited supplies temporarily.
You could have a bottle of water in an area where 2 million people live, and you could say here on your show, oh, they have water, what are you complaining about?
We're saying that supplies are being limited. That's certainly true, but there are supplies.
Well, that's just a meaningless statement. Are there sufficient supplies for people to live and be healthy?
Israel has shut things off
every
for a
humanitarian
short
organisation
period.
on the ground is saying there's a danger of cholera outbreaks because the sewage system is completely broken down. No electricity is going into Gaza, which means the desalination plants whereby people drink water from the sea.
But Israel has told people to move.
People are drinking salt water in Gaza. There are reports in the Associated Press that is going on. And you are here just saying there's enough water. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I've read similar reports to you, and the ones I've read have said... Read them in the newspapers.
You mean which newspapers? Who
in
said
all
this?
In all the
in
newspapers.
all the newspapers, OK. I think it might be wise for you to write down some evidence before you make such bold claims on national television.
It's been saying, I'm accepting they said it may run short.
But it has run short.
But
it has run short. Every single humanitarian organisation on the ground
This is a perfectly proportionate response.
That is collective punishment. The UN says it's collective punishment.
It's not collective punishment.
Well, it is collective punishment to make...
It is preparation to removing the terrorists who you seem to be advocating for. That's the shocking thing. You are standing up...
In what way am I advocating for terrorists?
Because you don't want Israel to defend herself.
Defending yourself
and you want to go on a march that is joined by people calling for Israel to be wiped off the territory that it currently is in.
People have to follow the rules of law. So It is actually the case.
The terrorists haven't.
It is actually,
the terrorists have just murdered over 1,000 people.
And Israel is not either.
They
Both
have
should.
killed babies.
I know, it should be condemned.
And you want to go on a march
condemned.
in support of those people.
No. I want to go. This is ridiculous.
You are associated with people chanting that Israel should be removed.
I don't think we're going anywhere with this, so I'm not that interested in debating. I just want to read some quotes to your audience because I don't think we're getting anywhere at all.
We need to have a discussion. You're backing down because you can't defend this. The people shouting.
I'm going to give some information. I think this debate needs some information. Okay.
These are
statements. Can I speak? You've invited me to speak.
But we want to get back to the issue. You are trying to defend people who, at the march yesterday, were shouting for Israel, the Jews in Israel, to be removed.
I'm not defending that.
Okay. So should those people be arrested by the police?
No, because you've misunderstood what that chant means.
Okay, tell me what that chant means.
So the chant will mean different things to different people. But to many people, what it will mean is this. So from the river to the sea, there are 3 different territories where Palestinian people live. There is the West Bank, there is Gaza, and there is Israel. There are Palestinian citizens of Israel. Now, B'Tselem, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, they say that every single person who is a Palestinian living in that territory, be they in Gaza, be they in the West Bank, be they in Israel proper, are living under apartheid. Now, if you want all of those people to no longer be living under apartheid, I think it is somewhat reasonable to say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Now, some people chanting that, do they want the Jews out of the Middle East? Potentially, but the dominant position of the Palestinian Liberation Organization when they backed that thing was to have a secular state where people have one member, one vote.
So you're saying when people are chanting that, they're not saying remove the Jews altogether?
The vast majority are not, no.
And those who are supporting Hamas, they're clearly saying that.
Well, yeah, if you're supporting Hamas, they should.
Yeah.
We're agreed on that. So my disagreement with you, maybe we could have saved a lot of time here. Because my disagreement with you here is not that Hamas are bad. Hamas are bad.
Good.
My disagreement with you here.
And Hamas are terrorists. Yes, you're willing to say that. You're not like the BBC.
Well,
are you willing to say they're terrorists?
I mean, this was an act of terrorism, but they are. I think there are differences between saying. I mean, they're
so you're not willing to say they're terrorists?
Well, I don't really care whether we call them terrorists. So what I care about? No, let me say what I care about.
BBC says this is a value judgment. Is your value such that you call Hamas a terrorist organisation?
So my values are this: no parties in a conflict should commit war crimes. Now, a war crime.
Are they terrorists?
No party in a conflict should commit war crimes. I don't really care if we call them terrorists or militants.
Well, are you therefore willing to call them terrorists? Will you say, let's conclude on this, Hamas are terrorists? Are you willing to say that?
I think Hamas committed an act of terrorism.
OK, but you're not willing to say they're terrorists.
That's
brilliant. He won't say it. Thank you very much for joining me. As always, you're a very welcome guest, Michael.